Yes, the title of this video is pretty bold, but it is definitely true. I'm gonna be honest, last week's video took a lot out of me. I was exhausted all weekend, I was crabby all weekend, and I was angry all weekend because I was tired all weekend. So today I've decided that we're just gonna kick back, chill out, and just chat for a bit. No crazy editing, no ridiculously complex concept art. Just you and me having a discussion. We're just going to chill out and talk about a very important art tip that also applies to any kind of creative job, but also just life in general, that has helped me immensely. Before we dive in, if you enjoyed this video and find it helpful, then please remember to give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss the rest of the videos coming out this month. But with all of that said, let us now dive into why you should never get married to an idea. For today's video, instead of just painting a single piece, I want to go through a painting exercise. Instead of going from sketch to color to details, I want to go from random object to random object to random object. Why? Because today you and I are going to sit down and learn to accept and appreciate the idea of change. Like I mentioned in the intro, I've learned this lesson through my art, but I've found that it applies just as well, if not better, to just being a functional, healthy person in general. And this lesson is to never get married to an idea. What does that mean? Allow me to take the next 10 or so minutes to explain. As humans, we are obviously creatures of habit. Once we come across a routine that works for us, it is really easy to stay stuck in that routine forever. Think about it. When was the last time you changed your toothbrushing routine? Or when was the last time you changed your style and how you dress? Evolutionarily, this is a good thing. Healthy habits help us to survive, whereas the uncertainty of change could bring unforeseen danger. Safe to say, our ancestors evolved to love stability and fear change. So if you're the kind of person who hates change, congratulations, you have evolved from survivalists, as have we all. Now, where this mindset stops being helpful, however, is when we are trying to create. The act of creation is to bring into existence something that doesn't exist yet. You are literally building things that no one else has built before. This is the one quality that distinguishes humans from every other species on the planet, is the ability to create. And this is where the fear of change becomes more of a liability than an asset. You'll have noticed this fear become louder and more pronounced in recent times. With the uncertainty in the world right now, it is safe to say that the world hates change. People are refusing to adapt to the new normal. People are even refusing to follow basic safety rules like wearing a mask. In fact, let's look at that last one a little closer. Wearing a mask is literally for no one else's benefit but our own. It protects us from a literal deadly virus that is in the air all around the world. Wearing a mask pretty much equals safety right now. Masks keep us alive. And yet there are people out there who simply refuse to adapt to wearing masks. Obviously, as we can clearly see, desperately holding on to old habits is no longer about survival, but rather about stubbornness. And this is where refusing to change goes from being a protective mechanism to being a limitation. The reason I bring this up is because not only do we refuse to change our external habits, we also refuse to change internal paradigms and thought patterns. You've probably heard that the world outside of us is simply a projection of the world that is inside us. In other words, all the limitations that exist around you first began as limitations that existed inside of you. As a creator, you will quickly recognize this as a creative block. You know, those days when no matter what you do, you simply cannot create something of value. This was me all of the last weekend, by the way, and this is kind of the reason I wanted to talk to you guys about this topic today. You see, I was one of the most stubborn people you'd ever met. Hands down, it was my way or the highway. If I wanted to follow a very specific schedule, nothing would ever cause me to deviate from it. And I don't know about you, but personally, I was actually very proud of this. I took a lot of pride in the fact that I was inflexible. I thought it made me more focused and that it helped me grow a good work ethic. But that is sadly not how creativity works, because if it were as simple as creating a structured plan and sticking to it, then every single person would be out there working in a creative field. No, creativity is entirely too fluid to be structured. And when you try to apply rigid timetables to it, creativity simply refuses to show up. No, really, it'll just adios its way back into the ether and then you're left with nothing. Because here's what I've discovered. Structures and rigid schedules and unshakable dogma, all of these things come from fear. All of these things introduce limitations to our lives, and limitation is toxic to creativity. Here's a fun/frustrating fact that my patrons probably already know by now. Pretty much 90% of the sketches in my sketchbook never actually make it into final paintings. I'm not just talking about random doodles, but rather the preliminary concepts that I sketch out before I start working on a proper painting on Photoshop. In fact, if a final painting ends up looking even remotely like its preliminary sketches, it almost freaks me out. Why? Because it means one of two things. Either I've had a ridiculous amount of clarity about this painting from the get-go, or it means that somewhere along the line I've become stubborn again, sticking to my original plan and never allowing novelty to enter the process. Here's one fundamental truth I want you to internalize right now and remember forever. Never see any step in your creation process as sacred. Nothing is so good that you cannot change it. Everything can be better and everything can be different. Never ever let any particular iteration of a painting become the highest point of your career. Nothing is sacred, everything is reworkable. I know that's a horrifying prospect. If nothing is sacred, how will I know whether I'm progressing as an artist? Or worse yet, how will I know when to stop with a project? First of all, take a deep breath, stop for a minute and look at these crazy thoughts. I can guarantee that all your instant reactions have come from fear. But I want you to remember that as a creator, your job isn't to decide where to begin or how to bring something into existence. Your job is to simply allow your mind and your body to be used by the universal creative force for it to create whatever it needs to. Does that sound a little crazy? Probably. But in my almost decade of being an artist, the one thing I've learned is that I am not the creator. I am merely a co-creator. Sure, the art I've created so far wouldn't exist without me, but it would also not exist without every single idea that has pushed me to create all of this art. When you're working on a creative project, you need to understand you're not here for the end result. You're not here for the creation itself. You're here for the process of creating. We need to learn to expect nothing from the process other than to simply enjoy the process. Whatever comes out the other end is not our concern. There's a very popular writing tip that authors use, and that is to kill your heroes. J.K. Rowling did this with Fred Weasley, John Green did it with Augustus Waters, hell, even Marvel did it with Tony Stark. And every one of those stories was magnificent because through killing these characters, the writers have proven one universal truth. We are more than what we create. When you cling to your heroes for dear life, you're pretty much admitting that your story is only going to sell because of that singular character. Not the plot, not the fictional universe that you've created, but that one single character that some people might identify with. But in doing so, you're also essentially saying that as a creator, you are not capable of creating anything greater than that one hero. And that, my friend, makes you less of a creator and more of a salesperson. And that is not what we're here for, at least not in a creative capacity. But how does the kill your heroes analogy apply to painting? Well, as you get better at what you do, you'll start to notice some amazing little details in your own work. Maybe your color palette in a specific painting is absolutely amazing, or the way that you rendered a certain character's nose is way better than what you expected. Appreciate these details, definitely, but never see them as the be-all and end-all of your painting. I've had so many instances where I've absolutely loved how a certain part of a painting has turned out, but then refused to work on it any further because I was afraid that if I ruined it, I would never have that pretty little detail again. And I've also noticed this pattern in my life in general. If I love, say, a certain perfume or a piece of makeup, I straight up refuse to use it because I don't want to run out of it. Yeah, really. I hoard the things that I love because I'm afraid that I will never be able to buy them again. Now, obviously that comes from a lot of complex mindset issues, and I like to think that I'm getting way better at coping with these habits, but I think it's a great analogy for the kind of limitations that we unconsciously put on ourselves. So today, I want you to look at your current creative project, be it a painting, an essay, or even just a recipe. I want you to look at it and I want you to kill your hero. If that's too scary, you can start by simply considering killing that hero. It will be super uncomfortable at first, it will make you want to hide or throw up or both, but I want you to follow that train of thought anyway. Because I can promise you on the other end of that tunnel is the realization that no one creation defines the entirety of your creative ability. Chances are you might even decide to scrap what you have so far and start all over. Too often we feel limited by the amount of time and effort that we've already put into a project. That somehow having put 40 hours into a particular painting means that it is too late to scrap it and start all over. I want you to understand that this kind of thought comes from a mindset of lack. It stems from the fear that there isn't enough time to start over, or that you will never get back the investment that you've put into this already. But here's my question. Why does it matter? Why does it matter how much more time and energy you would have to invest in order to completely change the direction of this painting or this project? When you bind yourself to certain ideas, when you marry them, you are effectively shutting out every other opportunity for growth that the world is trying to bring to you. And that is why I would like you to try a similar painting exercise as the one that I've been doing here. The constant shift between concepts, values, color palettes, and rendering styles helps to not only broaden your thoughts and your preconceived notions, it also helps you adopt a mindset of, hey, no matter where this painting takes me, I'm just here to enjoy the ride. Never get married to an idea. Instead, learn to flirt with endless possibilities. Well, that was a fun little exploration, wasn't it? I'm going to be honest with you, this video was born out of a creative block and a serious case of the Mondays, so I know it is a little bit different to my usual content, but I do hope you've enjoyed it and found it helpful regardless. If you did enjoy this video, then please remember to give me a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below because I make new videos every single week. Comment below what video you want to see next and I will add it to my ever-growing list of videos to do on this channel.
Come find me on social media. I share more of my art and all the other life stuff on there, so come find me. All the links are in the video description. But with all that said, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!